April 2026. A cautionary statement from Iran has drawn intense scrutiny from the global technology and security sectors. The Strait of Hormuz, once known solely as a critical oil transit choke point, is now becoming a new flashpoint for digital infrastructure security. Iranian officials have publicly released maps showing the precise locations of the Submarine submarine cable systems. These documents clearly identify the cable routes resting on the seabed of the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Sea, highlighting the Achilles heels that, if compromised, could plunge the global internet into chaos.
This represents an extremely serious issue for international information security.
In reality, although we live in the era of satellites and Starlink, 97% of intercontinental internet data is still transmitted via fiber-optic cables beneath the ocean floor. Satellites only play a supporting role or provide internet to remote areas due to bandwidth limitations and high latency. Any threat to these maritime routes essentially means the exchange of information between Asia, the Middle East, and Europe is at risk of complete disruption. If this were to occur, the consequences would go far beyond the loss of social media connectivity. International banking transactions would freeze, cloud data storage systems of major corporations would fail to synchronize, and military and diplomatic communication networks would be paralyzed. Regions such as the Strait of Hormuz, the Red Sea, and the Suez Canal are considered digital choke points. Here, dozens of vital cables are squeezed into a narrow and shallow range, making them highly vulnerable to intentional sabotage or maritime accidents. Technically, the Submarine system is not a single cable, but a massive infrastructure network with a total length of nearly 40,000 kilometers. To put this in perspective, this figure is equivalent to the circumference of the Earth. The system is designed to withstand extreme water pressure at depths of thousands of meters and complex geological shifts on the ocean floor. This is the result of a multinational collaboration between more than 19 of the world's largest telecommunications consortiums, aimed at maintaining a stable, high-speed internet connection linking economic hubs from Singapore to France.
The secret to its long-term resilience lies within the cable's complex, multi-layered design.
The Submarine system began operations in 1999. With a length of 39,000 kilometers connecting 33 countries, SMW3 set a record as the world's longest cable system at that time. It was a pioneer in using technology to transmit multiple data streams simultaneously on a single fiber, using different light wavelengths. This breakthrough helped increase data capacity tenfold, compared to the aging copper cables of previous decades. Over time, as the world transitioned from the era of email to high-quality video, social media, and streaming, bandwidth demand skyrocketed exponentially. This led to the birth of Submarine 4 in 2005 to alleviate the load on the old route. And by 2016, the Submarine 5 system officially went into operation. Submarine 5 was a leap in performance with a transmission capacity of up to 24 terabits per second. This speed allows for the transmission of data, equivalent to thousands of high-definition movies, in just 1 second. SMW5 is not only faster, but also smarter, with a design that minimizes signal latency, a vital factor for AI applications, autonomous vehicles, and high-speed financial transactions. The secret to its long-term resilience lies within the cable's complex, multi-layered design. Essentially, a submarine fiber-optic cable is designed to last at least 25 years under the sea. At the center are optical fiber cores made of ultra-pure silica glass. These glass fibers are thinner than a human hair, but are capable of guiding light for thousands of kilometers, with extremely low signal degradation. To protect these fragile fiber cores, manufacturers wrap them in many layers of protective materials. The first layer is a special petroleum jelly. This jelly serves to prevent water from seeping inside and helps the fiber cores from breaking under minor vibrations. The next layer is a load-bearing metal tube, usually made of aluminum or copper, which protects the cable core against the colossal water pressure at the bottom of the deep sea. Surrounding the metal tube are layers of tightly braided high-strength steel wires. This layer allows the cable to withstand a pulling force of up to dozens of tons when cable-laying ships carry out installation or when the cable is pulled up for repair. Finally, there is the outermost thick polyethylene plastic sheath. This plastic layer provides insulation, prevents chemical corrosion from seawater, and protects against abrasions from the seabed terrain.
The cable design is also adjusted depending on the installation location.
In shallow waters near the shore, where human risk is greatest, the cable is wrapped in additional thick steel armor layers. These armor layers help the cable withstand impacts from snagged ship anchors or dragging fishing nets. However, in deep waters up to 8,000 meters, the cable is made lighter. At this depth, human impact is almost zero, so the only challenges are water pressure and the weight of the cable itself, as it hangs suspended during the installation process. A difficult technical problem when transmitting data over long distances is that the light signal weakens every few dozen kilometers. To solve this, every 50 to 100 kilometers along the cable route, engineers must install a signal amplifier, also known as a repeater. This device is shaped like a giant torpedo and is made of extremely expensive beryllium copper alloy, which is corrosion resistant and can withstand ultra-high pressure. Inside, it contains special optical amplifiers that boost the signal's brightness so it can continue its transoceanic journey without needing to convert the light signal into electricity. Notably, these amplifiers do not use batteries. They are powered by a high-voltage current, up to thousands of volts, transmitted directly from land-based power stations along the copper core of the cable.
The process of building a cable route like SEA-MEWE is a massive logistical puzzle.
Everything begins with a seabed survey lasting months or even years. Specialized ships use multi-beam sonar systems to map the seabed topography in the highest detail. The goal is to find the flattest path, away from underwater volcanoes, deep trenches prone to landslides, or areas with excessively strong currents. Choosing the wrong route by even a few meters could cost the project millions of dollars if the cable breaks after being put into use. Once the path is determined, massive cable-laying ships begin their mission. These ships are considered floating factories, capable of carrying thousands of tons of cable in giant tanks within the hull. They are equipped with dynamic positioning systems that help the ship stay precisely on course to the centimeter, regardless of heavy waves or strong winds. In shallow waters, the ship pulls a device called a sea plow, weighing 50 tons. This plow carves a trench in the seabed, places the cable in, and buries it about 2 to 3 meters deep. Burying the cable in the mud is the best protection against maritime activities. In the deepest waters, the cable is laid freely to follow the underwater mountain slopes and valleys. Despite being extremely well protected, cable breakages still occur frequently. The causes can be undersea earthquakes, geological landslides, or most commonly, anchors from large cargo ships straying into restricted areas. When a cable break occurs, engineers at the Network Operations Center detect it immediately. They use a laser distance measuring device. By firing a laser pulse into the optical fiber and measuring the time it takes for light to reflect back from the break point, they can pinpoint the location of the break accurately to the meter, even if that point is thousands of kilometers away, in the middle of the ocean.
Once the path is determined, massive cable-laying ships begin their mission.
This is a job that requires extreme patience and skill. Engineers use giant grapnels or remotely operated underwater robots to find and pull the two broken ends of the cable to the surface. The splicing process cannot be done outdoors, but must take place inside an ultra-clean laboratory on the ship's deck to avoid dust. The hair-thin glass fibers must be cut with diamond blades and spliced back in absolute alignment using laser welding machines. Just a single speck of dust or a minor error during splicing will degrade the signal and force engineers to cut the joint and start over. After splicing is complete, the joint is encased in a special steel protective shell before being lowered back to the seabed. The CME system is not just an engineering feat, it is the backbone ensuring the stability of the global digital economy. Our reliance on these cables is so great that just a few simultaneous incidents at choke points like the Red Sea could push the entire internet architecture of many nations back 2 decades. The security risks to these cable routes, whether due to natural disasters or political calculations, are a constant reminder of the importance of maintaining and protecting telecommunications infrastructure. Currently, the new generation CME 6 cable is being deployed, with more advanced technologies, such as increasing the number of fiber cores to achieve multiple times the bandwidth. The race to connect the world faster, more stably, and more securely has never stopped. Thank you for following this detailed analysis of the See-Me-We system. If you found this technical information useful, please subscribe to the channel to update more knowledge about the engineering superstructures that are silently operating our world. Goodbye, and see you in the next content.